Good morning. Just playing around here, testing out a few things. One of the concepts that we really want to start promoting is our podcast and our charities that we support. So I just wanted to do a little bit of a test here. And then might ask some questions to see how it's working on your end. I was hoping that would play. One second here, try something else. Yeah, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the podcast to play when I play it on my computer to come for the audio to come through, but it's only coming through on my headset. It's not coming through on the podcast. So I know there's a way to do that, but I'm trying to figure out how that is. Let's see here. I think maybe here. Hmm. I'll try something else here. See if this works. Nope, that's not working either. I'm trying to get the audio to go through, but it's still just coming through my headset. Let me try something else.
mentioned before, we have the manatee here in Florida, which is the West Indian manatee. Then we also have the West African manatee, which is, as the name says, located in West Africa. The Amazonian manatee, which lives in South America. And then there's a cousin species called the dugong, which lives around the Indo-Pacific and Australia. Now, the range of the West Indian manatee extends from Florida all the way down into the Caribbean. So we'll find them in Cuba, Puerto Rico, Mexico, all the way down to Belize, even down to Brazil, where they may overlap with the Amazonian manatee that lives in South America. Here in the US, we really primarily find them around Florida, although in the summertime they may migrate to Alabama, Louisiana, or as far west as Texas, and they also can be found in the Carolinas and Georgia during the summer months. Some stragglers go all the way up the coast to Massachusetts or even Rhode Island, Virginia. It's not very common, but a few individuals make it up there every year for some reason.
We just talked about kind of the temperature changing here and getting a little cooler before we went live with the podcast. And you mentioned that if it gets a little cooler, we might see some. Is that what kind of controls their migratory patterns up into the coast a bit, or what temperature patterns do they like the most?
Yeah, that's a good question. So manatees, they're subtropical species, so they actually have to be in water warmer than 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So in the wintertime, when ambient water temperatures along the coast or in the rivers drop, they need to find warm water sources, such as natural springs or the warm water outflow of power plants. So you may think manatees, they're very big, they have a lot of blubber, they have a lot of fat, but that's actually a misconception. Manatees only have about an inch of fat layer. So their heavy body really is due to their very heavy bones and their very large intestine. Manatees have a very, very slow metabolism, so they have a very hard time staying warm. So
some years ago, and it killed quite a few manatees. So I guess if a quick snap cold front comes in, they can get caught in that cold weather.
Yes, absolutely. 2009, 2010 was a really bad year for manatees in terms of cold. We lost over 200 animals just because of the cold that year. This winter, the temperatures have been fluctuating quite a bit. So what we've been seeing in past years as well is that it stayed warm longer, but then it got cold pretty quickly. So we actually had some individuals that migrated up to Georgia or South Carolina, and they would find really small pockets of warm water up there that they could survive in for a little bit, but they couldn't really go out to feed because the ambient waters in the feeding areas were way too cold for them. So they had to be rescued and be brought back down to Florida. So if we have these, fluctuating temperatures from being very warm to being very cold, some manatees could potentially get stuck somewhere because they don't make it to the warm water sites in time.
Right. Well, that's wonderful that you guys capture them or rescue them whenever there's a situation like that. We had a very similar experience with Sea Turtle Incorporated down in Texas, where whenever it gets too cold down there, basically the sea turtles will kind of go into shock and they're at risk of dying, and they do the same thing. But sea turtles, for the most part, are a tenth of the size of these manatees. So that's a big effort to rescue a manatee. So let's talk a little bit about the organization. So the organization Save the Manatees was founded around 40 years ago, I believe. It was founded by some prominent figures. Can you give us a little bit of
Okay, I think I've got it back to the headset now. Thanks for the feedback. I appreciate that. That was the first test I was trying to do. I still need to play around with that, do some research, because I think there's a way that you can bypass all the microphones, all the external microphones, and just do a system mic so that it's playing directly from whatever application you have up. I know you can do that on Zoom and WebEx and some of the other sharing software. So I would think StreamYard can as well. So I'm going to check into that. There's some other concepts I have that I'm working on. Let's put this up here. So some of you might have seen this on the previous live session. We are really trying to focus on a new game. So getting a game to get more audience participation in. One of the things that we're trying to do is bring in some unbelievable things that our community has accomplished in their life or experienced in their life, and then put those together in a fun game. So those of you that are listening in, if you can send us your crazy things that you've accomplished or something, it could be good or it could be tragedy maybe that you've been through. We're going to put that into a game next month. And that game is going to be called Facts, Falsies, and Fiction. And so what we'll do is we will take all of those statements and we'll basically put it into a game where we post 5 statements up on a PowerPoint slide. One of them will be true for that particular channel that we're focusing on. So for example, if I did myself, I could say pause and effect, and I could throw up that slide with 5 different statements, and only one of those statements would be true. I'm just going to do a double check because I did switch to my headset. Can everyone hear me now? Hopefully I wasn't talking to silence. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to prepare a slide. Let me just go ahead and share my screen here. I'll bring up a slide and start preparing this so that everybody can kind of see what this game I'm thinking about is going to be like. Come back to my share screen here and share the right screen. There we go. Okay, so we could do something like pause and effect. And I could have, let's move this up. A few statements about myself. Let's see here. Let's bulletize these real quick. Just putting some things in here and gonna have you guys try to figure out which one is true. Okay, so the way that I was thinking the game might work. Good morning, Aaron. I'm just playing around here, thinking about some things that I wanted to test out. And one of the things that we tested out was getting some audio playing for the podcast, so I could do some podcast replays over YouTube to try to stimulate some growth on our podcast. Secondly, testing out some games for next month. And so this one is basically going to be called Facts, Falsies, and Fiction. And so out of these 5 statements, one of these is true about me. And that's the fact, but only one of them is true. The falsies are true, but they're about another channel or another person. In this case, I'm going to put on here. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. Let me go. I'm going to go over here and put this is specifically about me. So if it's true about Chris, it's not going to count, or anybody else in my family. It's just about me. So what I would typically do here is I would ask a question. For people to answer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of which one that they think is true. And anyone who gets the correct answer within around 30 seconds you don't have to guess the false ones. You have to guess which one is true about me. 2 are going to be falsies, which means there is someone that I know that did this, and 2 are going to be completely fake. Hey, Austin, you're not supposed to answer anything but true, my friend. And let's go ahead and get the answers in there. And the correct answer, let's see, we've got Aaron, who says number 2. KNR Destination says 2. Gypsy and Vanilla Girl says 4. And I think Austin says 4. Meant to be RVing says 2 as well. And that's what we got. So, well, actually, you guys did pretty good. 2 is the correct answer. So I was part of the, originally part of the junior bowling organization. And then my first couple of years when I went pro, I actually appeared on television, not on the mainstream Sunday television, but it was on the regional. So it was on regional television on the PBA. So I have been to the temple in Jerusalem, but I never preached there. So that one is completely false. I don't know anybody personally that's preached. And hey, Bob, how's it going? All right, I ripped you off the other day. You were doing a test on a game like this, and so this is my twist on it. It's called Facts, Falsies, and Fiction. So what I was going to do is have 5 topics. People guess which one's true. And the other 4, 2 of them are going to be falsies, which means they're true, but they're not me. And the other 2 are completely fiction. So this first one, when I was younger, I hiked across country barefoot. I actually learned that about Bob from Blue Wave, and he happened to join. That was not orchestrated. This was totally just a quick test of a game that we're going to try to do here. And number 2, I was on TV, regional TV twice. I carried my pro card for a couple of years after I got out of junior bowling. When I was younger, I appeared on the X Games. Nope, never appeared on the X Games, and I don't know anybody that has in any of the channels that I met. I recently preached from a temple in Jerusalem. Nope, don't know that one either. And when I was younger, I was run over by a car and survived. That would be my wife. So if we did one about Chris, that could be one that would be true about Chris. So what I need from everybody that's watching, and what we're going to be announcing on some of our upcoming lives, and I may do a promo video on this, is send us those types of things in. I'm also going to be watching some of your videos, and if I pick up something that's unique on your videos, I may do just like I did here with Bob for some of the falsies. So that's the other thing. And basically, I've got 9 people in here. Thanks. What I'm looking for is really your feedback. If you can give me a thumbs up if you think this would be a fun game to play. More importantly, in addition to that thumbs up, take some time and send me 2 or 3 items, and I'm going to start making a database of these facts, falsies, and putting those in a database and start staging some games for next month. And we're going to have this as one of the new games we add. Thanks, Amy, for that feedback. All right, so there's another game that I wanted to talk about. So we've been doing primarily music trivia, and we've been doing primarily Mad Gab, those 2 games. We added punchlines, but that one takes a little bit of time. I might keep all of those in the mix a little bit, but this other one I was thinking of is called Trivia Bingo. So Trivia Bingo would be basically a chart. I don't have the card prepared for it, but I can probably do that real quick. Let me see if I can find it real quick here. It's basically going to be different categories. So sports, music, history, you know, a couple more probably, movies maybe, and then eras, 1950s and 60s, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s, and then anything after 2000. So basically a 5x5 matrix. And basically ask trivia questions from those eras in that genre or in that category. And the first person to get it right would get that block on the bingo. And then if you get a bingo all the way across diagonal, up or down, then that would be worth like a lot more points than what our normal competition is. So what I was thinking about playing is mixing that in with the other games, making that worth, say, 100 points instead of 10 points if you get a right answer. And that way, if you get a bingo, you can make up 100 points. So did that make sense, first of all? Or if you need a visual to describe it. We'll see if I can find it. I did do a quick Excel drawing of this, playing around with it the other day. Let me see if I can find that and share it. That is a good one. I may add that. And those of you that were on here, you would know that one if it came up. All right, let me try to find my trivia bingo. I need to share this with my other screen. And this will be the last test I do for today. I've actually got to get to work here shortly. Okay, let me stop sharing and share a new screen that will make that last game that I was talking about easier to understand. So this is what I was thinking. So let me see. Let me blow this up a little bit. There we go. All right. So having a bingo card such as this, and I'll actually make it a little bit better and bring it into a presentation, but I would start the contest off or the trivia off in the evening, or maybe ask a question every 15 minutes. We'd do a bingo question and we do the other games in between. Not exactly sure yet. But basically what I would do is I would rotate through. I would ask a 1950s music question and maybe a 1970s history question, you know, a 1980s sports question. I would just randomly ask questions in here, and whoever gets the first correct answer would get their name put in one of these boxes. And if that person actually gets a bingo across all of this, that would be worth 100 points. What do you guys think about something like that in addition to some of the trivia we've been playing? And the concept here is to get a few more games in, because we've got a couple of ringers on Mad Gab, and then there's some that are pretty quick on the music trivia as well. So we want to mix it up so more people have a chance to compete, get points, interact. Sounds like a blast. All right, cool. Fun. Awesome. Like the idea. All right, guys, that's really the things that I wanted to go over this morning. I just popped on to test it out. I appreciate having you all come on and give me some feedback. We will be doing a quick live tonight. My granddaughter asked to do Disney trivia because she's been on the last few trivias. So we're going to do one really focused on my grandkids and family at 7:30 this evening. If you can join, great. If there's other lives that are already there, definitely continue to support them. But we'll be on again tonight. We'll talk maybe about some of these games as well. And if you can't join tonight, we also have another session tomorrow night. And then while Bob's here, Saturday night, Bob has some fun games. In fact, the facts, falsies, and fictions is kind of a play off of his, I think, 2 Truths and a Lie that he was thinking about doing, or he's done a few times. So appreciate everyone's support. We will see you on another live coming soon. Thanks for helping me test this out.